Alright, so for today's Ask Nikki, I am going to answer one question because I think this one question covers a lot of bases, and it kind of covers a lot of stuff that people ask me. Sorry, the blue light on my face is my computer. Kind of covers a lot of questions that people ask me a lot. So I'm just going to read it to you, and then I'm going to answer the questions just as I go. So, okay. So my story starts like this. I'm 21 and I will turn 22 this year. My boyfriend is 25 and he will turn 26. We want to get married, but the problem is that my parents do not want me to get married because they think I am too young for marriage. I really love him and I know he loves me too. We have a great relationship and we've been dating for 2 years and 3 months. He has a great job and he has his own house. I am done with my degree and I'm ready for marriage. My parents think that marriage is a really hard thing, but I want to be with him. So, my questions are these. 1, how old were you when you got married? 2, is marriage really hard like everybody says? 3, how is adapting to living with your husband? Did your husband change or is he the same? And the final question is, I'm fully Mexican and my boyfriend is a white American. So I was wondering, where are you from or your family since you don't look fully American? And then she asked me questions about adapting the culture. Before I answer the whole thing, I have to answer that final question first because I get asked this all the time, which is really surprising and really flattering. It excites me because I am actually like 100% white, so I wish I had a way to answer your question, but on the positive side, it excites me because I always wished I was mixed, but I'm not. I'm like totally white, so yeah, I think my relatives, it's like they're English and French, so, and German, English, French, and German. That's what I have in my family. So I don't have an answer to that question, but I just had to get that out there anyways because people ask me all the time. Okay, so I'm going to start from the beginning, asking how old were you when you got married? I was 20. It was about 3 months before my 21st birthday when I got married. My husband was 21 and he was almost 22 because our birthdays are a month apart. Is marriage really hard like everybody says? Okay, how can I explain this to you? Before my husband and I got married, we were in premarital counseling. And needless to say, I was already scared. I'm not one of those girls that was going into marriage like, marriage is gonna be amazing. Like, I was already scared on my own, and premarital counseling scared the crap out of me. Like, it was just very intense, and I was just like, see, we shouldn't get married. So it is good to have a little fear because too many people go into it thinking that marriage is just this hard road. Like, there are a lot of people that think that. You know, but probably the majority of the population probably think the opposite, which is what they probably thought about me too, but I was actually very scared. It is both. That's the truth. Marriage comes and goes in seasons in terms of like how you feel about everything that's going on. There are times in my marriage where I am just literally on cloud 9. Like, I'm so happy and elated, and then there are other times where literally there's not really any feeling I couldn't really describe to you. It's just like, oh yeah, I'm married, cool. Yo, like nothing really that exciting. And then there are other times where it's hard and we're fighting and we don't really, and the hard part is we're not fighting about anything in particular. It's just because he's tired with work and I'm emotional for no reason and we're just fighting. And that's just kind of the way that marriage works. It just kind of like, you have seasons, and that is the word that like I use, it's the word all my friends use, is we use like, it's a season, you know? It comes and goes like this. It's not just like this the whole time. You know, so when you go into a marriage knowing that it's seasons, it goes up and down, I think you're equipped very well for it if you know that. You know, going back to what your parents were saying about you being, you know, marriage is very hard, you know, your best bet would probably be, you know, I would say you and your boyfriend to sit down with your parents. If you don't think it'd be good to have him there, then maybe just you. You know, in my situation, I probably would have sat down with Dan, with my parents, and said, we want to know, you know, we respect you. What is it that you think that we need to work on? Is there a reason you don't think that we should be, you know, be married yet? And just kind of find out where they're coming from, you know. That to be said, I'm going to say this very carefully, and I really hope you all really hear the words that I'm saying and don't misconstrue this, okay? When you get married, it is you and your husband. Obviously, your family is important, but your husband becomes first before your family. So ultimately, it is a decision between you and him, but you need to talk to your parents because they may have a valid reason and you need to hear them out and you need to really analyze the situation. Yeah, I hope you guys heard my heart on that. I'm not like, it's your choice, girlfriend, whatever, to parents, because that's not what I mean. I'm super close to my parents. I'm living with my parents right now because, you know, we're rebuilding our life after Singapore and all that junk. But I'm just saying that, you know, there may be a valid reason. They may just feel you're too young. You know, they may just still look at you as their little girl. You need to sit, though, and communicate and figure out whatever the reason is, find out the reason. Okay, what was the next question? How is adapting to living with your husband? I'm trying to even think. You know, it wasn't that hard. It was actually, if I remember right, this is going to be a really weird dichotomy in this sentence. Part of it was really, really easy because, like, nothing, like, I didn't feel like he changed after we got married. It wasn't like, whoa, who are you? So living with him was actually really, really fun because I used to hate having to go home at night. Like, this is really pathetic and you're all gonna laugh at me, but I'm really clingy, and I remember when we were dating and he would have to leave my house at night or I would have to leave his house. I would actually start crying because I was so sad. I was just like, I don't want to leave you. Like, that's so pathetic, but I feel like I can say that because we're married. It's not like I'm a 15-year-old dating my boyfriend and I'm like, I don't want to leave you. Like, I didn't want to leave him. So being, like, living with him, that almost makes me want to cry now. It was like the best thing ever. Yeah, I liked it. He did not change. I will say if I'm being really specific and really open here, I'd say the only way that it changed on both teams, and this is pretty typical in a marriage, he probably became a little bit less romantic, just because, you know, men, when they're dating, it's like, it's in them to try to, like, really, like, try to win us over, and it's easy for them to fall into a little bit like, oh, I got her. It wasn't like he went from being like lovey-dovey, like, give me a beer, but like, it just wasn't as frequent maybe. And on my side, it was the flip side. You know, as like women, when we're dating, we tend to be like, so adoring and like, your jokes are so funny, like, you're so handsome, and like, yes, whatever you want to do. And then for some reason, it seems like when we get married, like all of a sudden we just have to control everything and like, oh, that was stupid. So, we both have our faults. So yes, things changed a little, but, you know, not really, if that makes sense. I will say, one final note, definitely the first year of our marriage has been our hardest so far. These last 2 years have been awesome, but those first, like, 8 or 9 months, we got married in February. We had a very hard time through December, I very distinctly remember when everything turned back around and was good again. I was very, very scared within those first 8 months. Because I was so young and I was just like, all these people were questioning me, and I work in entertainment and I was working like 80 hours a week, and I was very, very scared. And I thought, oh no, was everyone right? Because everyone was like, don't get married, you're too young. And I was like, oh my God, was everyone right? Oh my gosh. But after those 8 months, I distinctly remember when it turned around, and the last 2 years have been awesome. It's been like 2.5 years since that point. But that's just being very, you know, very open and vulnerable with you guys. But it's interesting because my mom said the same thing. She was actually with my dad for like 8 years before they got married. And then now they've been married for like 30 years. Something crazy like that. They've been together since they were like 18. And she said the same thing. She said their first year of marriage was the hardest of their whole relationship. Not even just their marriage, but their relationship prior to that too. And, you know, I think it's because you're just adjusting to like, what is marriage, you know, like the relationship of marriage and all that it is, and like you said, living together and just being married. Like, it was weird being a wife at first, like I'm a wife now, you know. So that was a really long answer, and I kind of just ran on, but I'm trying to like kind of give you my feedback with all that. Okay, oh yeah, and then you asked me about the cultural thing. I mean, if you guys have been dating for 2.5 years, as long as you guys cover the basics, like, and you don't just be like, oh, it'll work itself out, as long as you cover everything and openly communicate, it's probably not going to change a whole lot when you get married if you've already dealt with it. You know what I mean? Like, if you've been, like, I look at dating as practice for marriage, which a lot of people, if you think about it, a lot of people think of that as really crazy. Like, oh, that's creepy. I think of it as, like, really smart, because it's like, If I'm treating this kind of similar to like, I know I'm practicing for marriage with that person, I'm gonna go in way more prepared if it does happen than if it like doesn't happen and we have to break up. Does that make any sense? So like Dan and I practiced when we were dating, like, okay, well, where do we want to go for holidays? Let's figure that out. Because we figured like, let's see if this can work. Because if this, like, it's not going to get better when we get married. When we get married, we're going to have to deal with holidays, you know. We dealt with money stuff. We talked a lot about money. We covered all the basics. Guys, if you're looking at marriage, don't go into it without talking about the basics, thinking that it's going to work itself out. It won't. I promise you, it's not easier. It will get harder. You need to cover money. You need to make sure you guys are squared away on money, like who's going to handle it. You need to talk about kids. Money is big though. I just made a really big issue very simple. A huge cause of divorce is monetary issues. I'm like choking on my spit. Cover money. Cover everything you think about it. Like, you know, do you like notice your spending habits, if you know how you guys interact with money together. Just deal with that. Cover like holidays with family, religion. Guys, that is something that people write off all the time. Like, oh, it's okay, you know, we're not the same religion, whatever. But what are you gonna do when you get married and have kids? You know, what solid ground do you both have a similar belief system so that when the going gets tough, you can both fall back on the same thing? You know what I mean? Like, it's really nice with my husband knowing that separate from each other, this has nothing to do with him, you know, it has nothing to do with me, like, separate from each other, we both have the same religious standing, and the same, we follow like the same thing, so we kind of can come back to the same place when we're going through hard times. So money, religion, kids, guys, you know, is he gonna be okay? Like, if you wanna be a stay-at-home mom one day, is he gonna be okay with that? You know, if you wanna work part-time still, is he gonna be okay with that? If you cover all these bases, then it's not going to be too big of a surprise when you get married. It's not going to be like, whoa, he didn't know I was next kid and now we got married. Like, if you're already dealing with each other's family and holidays and stuff like that, then there really shouldn't be any difference, except now you got a title on it. You know what I mean? So except now, rather than just like standing next to each other with the title boyfriend, girlfriend, you're standing next to each other with the title married. That's my take on it. You know, I think the most important thing, guys, is marriage is what you make it. We've attached all these things to marriage, like marriage, but really, like, if you think about it, it's just a word. So why does it really have to be any certain way, or just two people living your life? Does that make sense? You know, so like sometimes I get caught up in the fact that like I'm living at home right now, rebuilding my life, and I'm just like, oh my God, I'm married. I'm such a loser. I'm living at home. But then I have to step back and go, why am I using the word like, oh, I'm married? Then there's other 23-year-olds who are still in college or whatever. My path doesn't have to do with anyone else's path. My relationship with this guy, whatever title we put on it, doesn't have to do with anyone else. So we're just living our life, going about what we're doing, however we want to do it. So, you know, try your best to just take care of you guys and not to be so concerned about everyone else and what everyone else is doing. You know what I mean? So, yeah, that was a really long video. I'm going to try, you know, I'm going to try not to wait so long till I do my next Ask Nikki. I don't know, I felt like maybe everyone doesn't like it that much. I love doing these videos, but, you know, give me feedback, let me know. If you want to send me an Ask Nikki question, just send it to me, title it Ask Nikki. Don't forget to title it or it gets lost in there. So, yeah, and if I haven't responded to you guys, I'm sorry. It breaks my heart that I can't respond to everyone. I am listening. It's just very hard to get back to everyone. But in my next episode, I'm going to try to answer a lot of questions in a short amount of time because I have a lot of questions I want to answer. And I'm even debating at some point starting a blog and answering it that way as well. I don't know. Whatever, I'm rambling. So thank you guys for watching. I hope that was helpful. I tried the best I could to just kind of give you my opinion. It is just my opinion. I am not a professional. I am not the be-all, end-all, all that stuff, but those are my opinions. So I hope you guys have a great day. My second channel is linked down below. Pretty please. That was like a 6-year-old. I said that. Please, but pretty please subscribe. All my links are down below too. You know, Twitter, Facebook, Daily Booth, BLOGTV, all that stuff. So you can go on there if you want. And I guess that is about it. So I will see you next time. Have a great day. And yeah, okay, peace.